Hey everyone, this video is going to be about facts of episodic ataxia you may not know. Okay, fact number 1, episodic ataxia is difficult to diagnose. And this is for many reasons. With episodic ataxia, the person may appear fine in between having episodes of the condition or attacks, and this can make it difficult to see on the neurological exam when you go in to see your doctor or neurologist, and it can be easily looked over if the neurologist isn't too knowledgeable about it. So the neurologist might give you a neurological exam and claim that your exams are normal. Well, duh, because you're not in an episode where you're having obvious symptoms of your condition. So, that's fact number 1. Fact number 2, episodic ataxia is a misunderstood form of ataxia, simply by its name. Episodic ataxia is misunderstood in many ways. People just seem to think you have periods of ataxia, but it's often associated with permanent cerebellar signs, which may appear mild on the neurological exam performed by a neurologist. So mild it can actually be looked over if the neurologist doesn't know too much about it, because you look like you don't have ataxia. And it's not just a person having periods of ataxia, but these permanent cerebellar signs can appear in between episodes, and this can progress over time, along with developing cerebellar atrophy of the brain, which can be seen on an MRI as well, which results in progression of symptoms. Okay. Fact number 3. Episodic ataxia can be associated with a permanent progressive cerebellar ataxia secondary to the episodes. As mentioned before, episodic ataxia, the person can develop a progression of permanent cerebellar signs in between having their attacks of the condition. And this is because the person has developed cerebellar atrophy, which can be seen on an MRI, which is like a deterioration of the cerebellum, and it gradually worsens symptoms over time. Okay. Fact number 4. Let's see. People who have episodic ataxia have debilitating symptoms. So people with episodic ataxia, just like any other type of ataxia, do struggle with debilitating symptoms. It's a total misconception that it's a mild form of ataxia, even though a lot of the times symptoms appear to be mild in between having the episodes, and the person has aggressive attacks of ataxia. So this can be extremely debilitating, especially if you look fine in between having your episodes and suddenly you are aggressively attacked by poor coordination and balance and nausea, vomiting, symptoms associated with episodic ataxia, eye movement abnormalities, and so on. Loss of muscle control. So yeah. Fact 5 on episodic ataxia. Attacks associated with episodic ataxia vary greatly on how long they last, depending on the type and the type of episodic ataxia and the individual. Depending on the type of ataxia, the person can have prolonged episodes of ataxia or brief episodes of ataxia. Episodic ataxia type 1 is often associated with brief or shorter episodes of ataxia, usually lasting seconds to minutes. Episodic ataxia type 2 is often associated with prolonged episodes of ataxia, usually hours to days. Fact number 6. Episodic ataxia attacks vary greatly on how often they happen, depending on the individual. With episodic ataxia, how often they happen varies greatly, depending on the person, which can range from multiple times a day or once per day to having them twice a month or even like twice a year. It just varies greatly depending on the individual and the circumstances. Last but not least, the next fact. A person with episodic ataxia is often triggered into having attacks of ataxia. While this is true, triggers can include heat during the summer, caffeine, alcohol, physical exertion, physical activities, doing too much in a day, and so on. But a person with episodic ataxia, based on my own experience, can have episodes without an apparent trigger. Sometimes an episode comes on without no obvious trigger as to why it's happening. And then I almost forgot the last one. Episodic ataxia is a rare neurological condition. Episodic ataxia is really rare and is considered one of the rarer types of ataxias and very unusual. It's considered more rare than Friedreich's ataxia and even spinocerebellar ataxia. There are known to be 8 types. It affects muscle control, coordination, balance, vertigo, dizziness, nausea, vomiting, eye movement troubles, visual troubles, ringing in the ears, nystagmus, tremors, twitching. Some even have seizures, and the list goes on and on and on. But it's considered a rare, unusual form of ataxia because the symptoms fluctuate so much, and it's not even consistent symptoms that slowly progresses over time. It's kind of like up and down in symptoms rather than like most ataxias, it being more stable and yet a progression of the symptoms. A person with episodic ataxia experiences symptoms drastically from moment to moment, from, let's say, suddenly looking fine, then all of a sudden needing a wheelchair.